Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Abimbola, and if this is your first time, you're very welcome. Please stay, grab some popcorn, get comfortable, but also get familiar with my previous videos. Alright, I'm super excited for this video and hopefully it's going to be short. But you guys know that when I sit down and I have to talk, it's always plenty. But before I go ahead, my peperimpes have reminded me that I have not sang our song in a while. I apologize. You guys know that when I'm doing these things nowadays, I'm just trying to do it fast. But I'm going to sing for you guys. Hold on, let's go. Abimbola, peperimpe, hey, peperimpe. Come on, sugar, sugar. Oh my sugars, you guys. That song for my peperimpes. That song is for my peperimpes only. Guys, in my estate, they don't horn. So I don't know who this person is that's making noise. But let's go straight into it. This is a movie review. And the movie is titled Fair Play. I'm going to try and quickly give you guys the story or the gist of the movie before I now carry my phone and do breakdown. So in this film, it starts with a couple, very young couple, very sexually attracted to each other. They're dating. They also seem to be working in the same office. I think they work with shares and stocks. It starts with one of their colleagues having a mental breakdown, and then the girlfriend hears that, oh, her boyfriend might be promoted to take over the person who had the mental breakdown's job. So she tells him in passing. He's excited, obviously he starts to mentally prep for it. By the way, their entire relationship, I think it's been going on for about a year and a half, 2 years. Nobody in the office knows because obviously it's not allowed, right? It's against office policy, so it's a hush-hush. He also proposes to her. And so now they're engaged, but they can't announce it. But she tells her family, and that's where it is. She can't wear her ring. They can't announce it. She finds out about this thing, or she hears in passing from colleagues. And so she tells him he's excited, he's mentally prepping. All of a sudden, the bosses reach out to her and pretty much offer her the job. She tells him that, listen, I know I told you that I heard you were the one, but the bosses have just directly offered me this job. I don't know what to do. I'm just letting you know. And he's like, oh no, of course you should take it. I'm proud of you. You know, if it was me, I'll take it in a heartbeat anyways. So yes, man, you got this. You can kill it. By the way, they live together. And she's like, okay, thank you. Are you sure you're okay with it? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. No problem. Now, he also ends up being her analyst. So she now ends up being his boss as well, where she has to tell him to do the work and he has to do it and report to her. And so they're in the office and all of a sudden he starts to act very shifty. Not only in the office, even in the house. You know what I mean? He's not as expressive as before. She's pretty much the only woman in her company and in the office. So the bosses are calling her late hours to come and have dinner and have drinks to talk about. These are people that make nothing less than at least 7 to 10 figures extra after they get a deal. So she's on the clock constantly 24 hours, which this is something that everybody already knows because it's the kind of work that they do. But all of a sudden he's acting and feeling weird because she got to be picking up her boss's call at like 2 a.m. in the morning and he's like, looking at her sideways, but she's like, you already know it's part of the routine for the work, right? Her mom is calling her and she's just very too much, you know, overbearing. Oh my God, you're engaged right now. Can I tell people? She's like, don't tell anyone. She starts to tell people. Next thing, her mom is calling and saying, listen, she's not only told people, she's also told the guy's family, only for her to find out that he hadn't even told his family yet. Next thing, the mom is like, well, yeah, they're throwing them an engagement party. By this time, they start to have friction, where she tells him to do work and he's not necessarily doing it. Certain times he's gaslighting her. Certain times he's pretty much even trying to jeopardize the work that she gave him. Like he'll come and give her like a bad call. Now she normally would not want to take the call that he's given her just because her instincts, work instincts by the way, is pushing against this. But then she's like, okay, she doesn't want to send a signal. She's ignoring her boyfriend who's also trying to like step up, right? And so she'll do what he says and make that call. It will come back and, you know, splash in her face. And she'll be like, and he'll be looking at her like as if, you're my boss, you should have known better. You know what I mean? Just finding ways in which you just throw her under the bus. Eventually her bosses are like, what is really going on here? And then he finally just, you know, acts crazy. Like acts really crazy. And she's like, oh, what's wrong with you now? And he just flares up and he blows up. And he's like, yeah, she's going to go and talk to the boss. And he's like, listen, don't go and talk to the boss. Like, calm down. No, her boss is like an a-hole. Because that time when she took her boyfriend's call and work went sideways, they lost money, right? And when they lost money, the boss calls her and he's like, you dumb, excuse my French, he calls her a dumb bitch. Now, any line of work that is unacceptable, that is degrading, that is even grounds for like harassment because you don't talk to your employees like that. But she swallows it and she chests it. That's how much of an a-hole her boss is. And so the boyfriend decides to barge into the boss's office, and he kneels down for him. He goes on his knees and he's like, listen, I know you don't rate me, but I can do this job. I'm the person for this job. You should. And the boss looks at him and he lets him spill and spew everything. And then that says, get the fuck out of my office. Like, he doesn't rate the guy. You know what I mean? And then the guy's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to burn this house down. He now tells the boss that, oh, by the way, this person that you've hired and given this position, we've been sleeping around for X amount of years. Yes, he just pretty much throws the girl again under the bus. And then he disappears for days. And now they have this engagement party that they have no choice but to show up. She's trying to call him to reach him. He's not picking up. She chooses to just show up there, but she's not seen him in a while. She shows up the next thing she sees him is by the bar. He's drunk. Her family's there. His family's there. And he's just acting like as if no. So they go into he just talks nonsense. They pretty much get into a fight in front of the entire family. And that's when they decide, they're calling this nonsense off. She goes into the bathroom. She's upset. He walks into the bathroom with her. They have this tensed, crazy fight. By the way, in all the time in which she's gotten this job, these are people that were like literally having sex like rabbits. He literally withholds sex from her, which is how she knows that there's a problem, because these are people that are, listen, there's a scene where it's graphic, so I don't want to go graphic, but he withholds sex from her. Let me keep it that way and let's just move on. So it's like, you were willing to, the whole time, I don't want to talk about it, but just for context, this guy has sex with her while she's on her period. And then all of a sudden she's promoted and you can't even touch her. And it was just wild to her. Anyways, so she's in the bathroom and he comes in, they have this tense argument and shouting, and then they end up having sex. Now he's having sex with her, and at a point he gets very rough and you hear her audibly say, stop it. And he doesn't stop and he continues. Eventually when he gets off, he just literally moves off of her. And I think in that moment, what the director and scriptwriter wanted us to know that was when we knew that the relationship had pretty much ended. She cleans herself up and she leaves with a bruised eye. She gets to the office the next day and pretty much just realizes that this guy is a douche and he literally is coming for my life and my career. And so she tells her boss that, listen, this guy has been stalking her for a bit and that nothing has ever happened between them. I mean, it's Howard against his at the end of the day, because thankfully they were able to keep their relationship so under wraps. It was crazy. And so, yeah, she just explains that the reason why he said all that was just because he had a thing for her and she wasn't reciprocating it and that she's sorry. And the boss pretty much just tells her that, listen, that's what we've told you before, man. You can't be doing nonsense with this kind of people in the office. Next thing, she gets home and she gets to her house and the guy is there and he's telling her about how, oh, now he's calmer. He's calmer. And he tells her about how, oh, yeah, he's reached out to an uncle of his who's been able to get him a job somewhere. And so, yeah, he's already gotten them out of the list, so she can stay in the house for a month, but after a month she got to get out. And she's looking at this guy like, we dated for X amount of years, we were engaged, and all of a sudden this woman carries a knife. She literally cuts him where he's bleeding and she makes him apologize to her and she tells him to his face, you raped me. And he's like, wait, we consented. And she's like, no, we didn't. Initially we did, but you heard me when I said no and you continued. Look at my bloody face, apologize and say you're a coward. And my guy did not want to. Almost she cut him. My guy weak. She cut him. He eventually ended up apologizing and then she looked at him and then she said, mop your blood off my floor and get out. Almost the most epic touche deuces to you I've ever seen in my life. That's pretty much the genesis and the gist of this film. Now this film had so many, I'm trying to be sane here, but it's a lot, y'all. This movie had so many lessons in love and in war, and how they tell you that there's so much importance in not necessarily eating where you shit, but if you do, you need to be making sure that you're doing it with the right person. It also shows how some people really lack emotional intelligence. And I don't want to make this a gender war or a gender back and forth, but it's going to eventually become like that because there's so much to unpack. And so even if I don't mention everything, things that you noticed in the film, if you watch this on Netflix, just please give me your thoughts in the comment section because this movie was wild. First of all, you see that this woman genuinely was happy when she found out that this guy was about to become or get this promotion. She was genuinely ecstatic for him. Yet when he found out that she got it instead, it was the opposite. What is it with certain men and not wanting to see women grow? What is it? And I know it's easy to say it's an ego thing, but is it just that? I definitely think it's ego, and I think it's power control, but it's just wild for me. It's wild on so many fronts. Then instantly he starts to gaslight her. So she's leaving for meetings at 2 a.m., telling you where she's going, but all of a sudden she's sleeping with her boss. Because what? You're just not happy. I don't understand why people do things like this. And I'm not about to say just men. I mean people in relationships, generally speaking. If you get to a point in your relationship where you're not happy, it is your duty, not to even her or him or to your partner, even to yourself, to be able to express it, to say, listen, I'm not happy in this moment in time. And if you need to take a break, take a break. But to have continued living with her, working for her, and not be happy with her, but instead choosing to deprive her from sex, choosing to make her feel like as if she's crazy, and then gaslighting her is wild. Guys, there was a point in which this guy made a comment about how she was dressed to work. This is a babe that has been dressing literally the same every time. You try to make her look like as if, no, she's crazy. She went to go and change her shirts just to please him, and he still wasn't pleased. If roles were reversed, this uncle will not look at her twice. You are willing to kneel down to beg your boss to sell yourself to him, but you can't do the same. You can't be humble enough to come down for your fiance to be able to say, you know what, yeah, I'm not happy right now. I don't know why, I'm kind of jealous. It's only human. Just give me some time, I'll get over it. Because in her mind, she's doing everything that she can to make you feel secure in your relationship, to also make you feel secure at work. Because what you don't know is that she's going around trying to pitch you. She even turned down the job and said, no, that this guy is better for it too. In what world would the man have done the same for her? Nah, man, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then let's talk about the fact that this guy raped her. Yes, he raped her. And I keep telling people, even when in a relationship with somebody, your boyfriend, your husband, there's a limit to where sex becomes non-consensual. And that is when the other party, be it the man or be it the woman, says no. Anything that continues to happen after that no or stop is rape. And you should not stand for it. You should not stand for it at all. You see what I'm so happy for, and I know a lot of men would have a lot of things to say about it, but I'm happy that as a woman she chose to stick to her job over a man. You know, in the world that we live in right now, it's hard. And sometimes I wonder, what is it that men really want? But I don't think it's men that we should ask the question, because a lot of them don't even know. And they don't know because they just go by what society tells them. So the question is, what is it that society wants? You want a woman who is independent. You want a woman who is strong. You want a woman who is level-headed. You want a woman who works and earns money. And then you get this woman, and yet she's too much. Then you have the one that wants you to do all the work and bring him all the money and everything. Then she's lazy. Where do you get to please society as a woman? Where? Nah, it's wild. All right, let me read some comments that I saw on somebody's page in terms of what people thought about it. There's a bit that says here that I have said it too many times to people around me, countless times. An ambitious woman needs a very supportive partner or no partner at all. If not, you'll be messed up. And I totally hear that. You see, it's very important as women and even as people to just be very, 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 very introspective. You need to know yourself at the core of it all, and you need to know what you want and what you don't want when it comes to relationships. I was talking to someone recently, and I've stopped talking to the person now. And it wasn't because a lot of my friends are like, Abimbola, you know, it's not about this. Just be open, just be calm, just be this. But I didn't feel like I was getting what I wanted from a relationship. And regardless of how older I'm getting, there's certain things I just refuse to compromise on, because what I'm asking for is the barest minimum. Effective communication. Don't just tell me things, show me. If your actions are not speaking for me, your words are silent to me. And so you either have someone who can support you and give you what you need and meet you where you're meeting them, or it's best to just be single. Wallahi, I get this comment so deeply. Yeah. All right. Another one is, The way my blood boiled while watching this, I was so happy she could at least save her job before stabbing and sending the clown out. A spouse jealous of their partner's achievements is a very, very, very dangerous person to be with. The worst part of this movie for me was the one you mentioned in a review, when he chose to kneel to his boss rather than actually listening to the woman he had intended to spend his life with. It's sad because some men would always think that women are beneath them and have fish brains. It was a really good movie. It really was a good movie. Another one is, what annoyed me the most was how the men at the office at first already linked her promotion to sleeping with the boss. Crazy. This is quite an epistle. There's something else I want to draw out of this film. Women have to be careful of sacrifices and compromises they keep in relationships. In this movie, it's obvious that Emily couldn't compromise, and that's because Luke's ego, Luke is the male lead, was so big and obvious for everyone to recognize as a huge red flag. However, there are other subtle and tiny red flags that play out which many women don't recognize. Many women are easily willing to bend and turn to all of a man's demand in the name of sacrifices and compromise. Could be some power dynamics playing out subconsciously. Please know that not all compromises are healthy. Totally agree. Some of them are subtle and you need to pay attention. So subtle that you don't even know you're adjusting and turning against your own person. You see why I said you need to be so introspective. You need to be so self-aware. You need to know who you are, what you want. Yeah. Listen, the comments are endless. Someone said, can we talk about the gaslighting? How he acted like he did nothing wrong. How he tried to make her feel like she was the person in the wrong for dating. How he tried to make her feel like she was the person in the wrong for taking the job. This is how a lot of men are constantly intimidated. This is how a lot of men are constantly intimidated by the successes of their partners. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Like, guys, I don't even know where to start from. This film was just really great, and I'll just advise that you watch it. And yeah, let's talk about it in the comment section. Again, I'm one who believes that you can have it all. I genuinely do. Once there's just really great balance, where you have a partner who's supportive, where you as a partner is also supportive of your partner, where two of you have a great vision for what you want to achieve. You know what I mean? Where you guys are willing to bring each other up to date every time. I keep telling people that if there's one thing that I've learned from my parents, from friends, just from people's experiences, is that change is inevitable. And as we know that, it's even more crazy, and how it's even more crazy when it's in a relationship. Because as individuals, we change. I decide I like beans today, tomorrow I want rice. But your job as someone who has a partner is to always make sure that at every point in time in which you feel that change, or you're in that season of change, once you're able to recognize it and understand it, then it's your due job to let your partner in on it. Babe, listen, this is where I'm at right now in terms of my mindset. It's shifted. My perspective has changed. I'm not telling you that you need to meet me there already, but I'm just letting you know that I'm there, and it'll be great if you can come on board. You know, effective communication. However, there's still those people that you bring them up to date every time and they just cannot be joyous for you or meet you halfway. And those are things that by the grace of God, we're able to tell prior to, because relationships are all about compromises. Anyways, that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Please make sure you like, please subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. All right, guys, bye.